Welcome back to Vision Auto Garage. This is part 2 of the custom turbo back exhaust system on the Audi Metro. This is a 3-inch bore straight through silencer purchased entirely with ad revenue from your views. It should be a good match for the system and produce a nice low tone. It's a sleeved can, so we'll push onto the end of this bend and clamp tight. I'll be able to remove it or replace it if so desired. Test fitting the silencer gives me an idea of the orientation and length of the final bend in the system. I'm using Mickel or T-bolt clamps. They look a lot nicer than U-bolt clamps and apply an even pressure rather than crushing the sleeve. Eyeballing the position, I mark the leg of the lower bend for trimming. Without a decent chop saw or bandsaw, cutting a large bore tube accurately can be tricky. A simple method is to use a clamp as a guide to mark a straight edge. I use this method a lot on hoses, especially silicone, but ultimately the job is better with the correct tools. I had intended to have the final bend face 90 degrees downward, out to the ground, but I could use the second part of this 180 degree bend rotated rearward to exit out the back. The leg is marked for length and a clamp used to make a cutting guide before cutting with a 1mm disc. Next I need to cut the centre of the bend. I just eyeball using a piece of fine line tape and try to cut as straight as I can. With the 90 degree in position, the option to exit through the rear bumper seems viable, and different. I really like the idea of spitting flames out the back, so the decision is made. This 84mm hole saw is just the right diameter to give enough clearance for the 3-inch tube. I used the pilot bit in the hole saw to check the position by pushing a screwdriver through the hole and checking its position in relation to the tube. It's pretty close to centre, so I drill through with the hole saw. An offcut from one of the bends makes a perfect extension through the rear valance. The edges are cleaned up with a non-woven disc and TIG welded together. Yes, it's not central, but that doesn't bother me on this occasion. Next, the rear bumper is offered up. Fortunately, the extension tube is visible through a gap, so I'm not cutting blindly. The saw makes short work of the thin plastic, but soon hits the steel reinforcement behind it. The folds in the reinforcement bottom out on the hole saw, so the bumper is removed from the car and it's rough cut with a grinder, and then cleaned up with the hole saw. Back on the car, another offcut will make a tailpipe through the bumper, but it doesn't quite align with the extension piece, which needs to be angled downwards a little. A second hole is made to elongate the original hole to allow for adjustment. After realignment, the tailpipe is cleaned up and welded onto the extension. Needless to say, it looks ridiculous like this. The excess is cut off and the tip is profiled to the angle of the bumper. I'm quite pleased with the result. It looks purposeful and functional. This is somewhat mitigated by the steel reinforcement which encompasses the exhaust as it exits the bumper, but I may still need to add heat shield around the opening. So the exhaust system's now complete and I'm really keen to get the engine started and hear what it sounds like. To that end, I've just sent off the Emerald K6 ECU to be updated to a K6 Plus. This means I'll be able to use the electronic throttle that's already on the engine. Once the ECU's back, I can wire in the engine loom, but before I can start the engine, I still need to sort an intercooler, an engine cooling system, and the fuel system. And hopefully by next week I'll start making progress on one of those. Thank you so much for watching, and if you've enjoyed this episode and the series so far, please do like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.